Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Soulkation Podcast. I am here with Simon T. Bailey. He is a breakthrough strategist whose life purpose is to teach 1 billion people how to be fearless and create their futures. He equips companies with the tools necessary to affect cultural transformation, which results in higher employee engagement and platinum customer service, something we all love and all want. Success Magazine named him one of the top 25 people who will help you reach your business and life goals. He is the author of 10 books, including his most recent book, Be the Spark, 5 Platinum Service Principles for Creating Customers for Life. Simon, welcome to the Soulkation Podcast.
Hey, good to be with you. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited about this interview. I was just telling him that I heard him speak at Dr. Frazier's event in DC 4 or 5 years ago, and he rocked the stage. He was the most memorable. What's your exit line that you say?
I generally say, I love you, I believe in you, and there's not a darn thing you can do about it, or you're absolutely positively brilliant.
I was like, he's literally remembered you just from that many years ago. Phenomenal. And if you all don't follow him on YouTube, if you haven't listened to any of his stuff or heard of any of the amazing things that he's doing, he's going to share all of that at the end of this interview. So make sure you check him out because he's amazing. So take us back to Simon T. Bailey at 20.
Oh, boy.
Let's go.
Oh, Lord. Well, mom and dad dropped me off at Morehouse College at 18. At the end of my freshman year, they said, we don't have the money to send you back to Morehouse, nor do we have money to bring you back home to Buffalo, but we do love you. So at 19, 20 years of age, I was almost homeless, living in a drug-infested community in the southwest part of Atlanta, Georgia. Only had a mattress on the floor, bright green beanbag from the 70s, a couple of milk crates turned over with a black and white TV on top of it with a hanger hanging out of the back of the TV with a piece of aluminum foil wrapped around the hanger. You got the visual so far. I wanted to paint the complete picture, because there's some folks that they bougie now, they forget from where they come. So, I was working at a hotel making $5.10 an hour and dreaming about doing bigger things. I was on public transportation, MARTA, as it's known there in Atlanta, moving African Americans rapidly through Atlanta. And trying to figure it out. Lost as a goose in a blizzard, as they would say in Texas, bless his heart. Bless his little heart.
Oh my God. How does a person that goes from sleeping on the mattress to becoming a person that helps people break through? Like, you're the breakthrough strategist. How did you get from there to that?
Yeah. Number one, I had to get out of my way. Number two, I had to realize that it was not a curse to be a Black man in America. Number three, I had to realize that every single day that I had to survive, and I had to change my thinking and realize I had to change the channel on the television, because there are so many images that are projected onto the movie screen of your mind that tell you who you can become. And you have to realize that life is not a remote control. You have to get up and change the channel. And that's what I did. Started changing the channel every day and reminding myself of who I could become instead of who I couldn't become.
Okay. You are already getting started. I'm not ready. I was not ready for the first 5 minutes. Okay. Life is a remote control and you have to get up and change the channel. Oh, that's good.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
So you work for Disney. Oh my gosh.
I did. Yeah, I did.
How was that experience working for Disney?
Oh, it took me 2 years to get hired, 10 interviews, a 10-page psychological analysis from Gallup. And I guess they said, this guy is not going away. So they hired me. And I had 4 different jobs in the 7 years that I was there. It's absolutely one of the most transformative experiences to work at the happiest place on earth.
What did you learn, like business-wise, working for Disney?
I learned that you never, ever settle for doing something less than excellent. If it's not excellent, don't do it at all. Number 2, go the extra inch. Do a little something extra that most people won't notice, but the people that do notice will make a note of it and spend more. And then I would say probably number three, constantly upgrade your skills, because the moment you think you've arrived, you are actually falling behind and you don't even realize it. So it is required for Pixar cast members to take 4 hours of ongoing learning and development weekly. So you will have an accountant at Pixar sitting in an art class. When the CEO of Pixar is asked, why do you have an accountant sitting in an art class? He will say, because we want the accountant to become observant of all things beyond assets and liability. So no longer can the accountant just say, my job is X. His job is plus, 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 because he's constantly a student. So I really learned at Disney that you never settle for a Pookie and them operation. If it is not excellent, don't do it. It's got to be done right.
Oh, that's so good. So what is developing a skill set looks like for, okay, let's say, because I have two types of audiences, those who
Mm-hmm.
have full-time careers and doing extremely well, and then
Mm-hmm.
those who are entrepreneurs who are doing that full-time, of course. So what does that
Mm-hmm.
look like for a person that's working in corporate America? What does building the skill set look like there?
Yeah, so the person that's working in corporate America, and let me just kind of base what I'm about to say on what I do. So I work with corporations every day around the world. I've worked with almost 1,847 countries. So what I'm about to say, I speak from that baseline. First of all, quit your job and go to work. There are no jobs. Job stands for just overboard. It is a job. A paycheck is given to people who show up. Opportunities are given to people who work beyond what they're paid to do. So quit your job and go to work. Number two, create a personal board of directors that's made up of 3 to 5 men or women that are in different parts of the organization, who are not working in your discipline or have your subject matter expertise. Connect with them every 90 days. Keep your ear to the ground to find out what's going on in other parts of the organization, so you have a full 360-degree view as to what's happening in the organization, and not just locked into your department. Number three, the number one relationship you need to have is someone in finance. Follow the money, because you can always understand where the organization is going, what they're thinking about, and also find a sponsor. That is the person who will wear your brand t-shirt when you're not looking, when you're not around, and will help you level up in your career. Get on their committees, volunteer early, and often raise your hand. Take on the projects that nobody else wants to take on. Say, I want those ugly babies, because it's in those particular projects and assignments that no one else wants, is when you will stand head and shoulders above everybody else in the space. For my entrepreneurs that are listening, customer service is a department. Customer love is a mindset. Customer service is dead. It is about customer love. If customers do not love your business, they will not Yelp about you, because we are now in the recommendation economy. So double down on creating a culture of customer love. Let me use Chick-fil-A as an example. Happened to be there a few weeks ago, and just trying to really understand what separates Chick-fil-A from Popeyes. This is just in my own, just wanting to be nosy and understand, because Popeyes came out with this whole commercial around your chicken is better than Chick-fil-A, and of course they released it on Sunday when Chick-fil-A was closed. But here's the reality. Popeyes will never ever keep up with Chick-fil-A, because their culture is jacked up. You can't have Shaniqua in Atlanta give you service, and then Quinife in Phoenix give you different service. The service has to be consistent all across the board. And Chick-fil-A, fortunately, has a consistent cultural service. They love their customers, and the service is different. So Popeyes wasted their money with this marketing campaign, because it will die on the vine, because their culture absolutely is horrific. So culture eats strategy for lunch. I don't care what your marketing ploy is. You have to have a culture that gets it. All right. I think the next thing that's really important is, when you take care of your customers, they become your unofficial marketing department. So don't look for ways, entrepreneurs, as to how much you can get more from your customers. Provide more value to them, value that they can't get anywhere else. And when they get that type of value, they will say, oh my goodness, I can't believe you did this. So for example, I was in Columbus, Ohio, and I had to buy some clothes. It was early in the morning. I called 4 men department stores before 10 a.m. They said they were closed. Called the 5th store. They said, we don't normally do this, but pull around to the mall and we will open early for you. Give us your jacket size, pant size, shirt size. I gave them everything. Sure enough, security rolled up the doors. I came in and bought everything that I needed to buy. And $1,400 later, I'm walking out of Nordstrom's. I don't know if I got jacked in the process, but I said, thank you, Nordstrom's, for this experience. And my whole point is Nordstrom's didn't have to call corporate office to find out if they needed to open early. They did it anyway. And entrepreneurs that have that ability to say yes, now what's the question? Those are the ones that people will talk about forever.
That's so good. So good. So for the entrepreneurs who are trying to transition out of corporate America, I currently work for the federal government and I'm a full-time entrepreneur also. So what does that process look like, transitioning out?
Number one, you need to create an exit strategy. In creating an exit strategy, when I got ready to leave Disney, I would use my vacation time to go and literally just kind of test drive other opportunities, test drive the side hustle before I totally went for it. So in creating that exit strategy, make a date with destiny. So for instance, if you know a year from now or 24 months from now to the date, you know you're going to leave, then retrain your brain to see your job as your paid internship. What is everything I need to know for the last 24 months that I'm going to be here? Okay. Then be very intentional. Don't see it as they're asking me to do this. No. Learn everything you can before you exit out. Use the company, the organization, the federal government to pay you for you starting your business. That's the first thing. The second thing is whatever area you're thinking about going into, go and find 3 to 5 people that have been there, done that. Success leaves clues, but don't ask them about their success. Ask them about their failure, because failure in the dictionary comes before success. So when you ask them about their failure, you learn quicker from mistakes and failure, which cuts down your learning curve, and you don't have to make the same bozo mistakes that they made. Because I did that. I made so many dumb mistakes, bozo mistakes that could have been avoided, but no, I was throwing good money at bad situations, bad opportunities. And I think the third thing is really get down to, why are you doing this? Are you saying that you want to go into business because you want to make money? If you want to go into business just because you want to make money, you will not be in business for long, because there will be cold winter days when the check is not coming, the phone, you're not getting the phone call, the email is not coming, and they didn't pay the invoice, and it's 45 days later. And you're going to really have to dig deep and say, did I do this because I was chasing a check? Or did I do this because I'm called to do this? Because if you're called to do something, you don't chase money. Money chases you. And when money chases you, it invites you to realize that if you didn't work in your calling, the doors and the opportunity would have never opened. I took my medication, so you caught me at a good moment. I'm just in a flow.
Please let it flow, Simon. You are giving us life. They don't even understand the juice that they're getting. I mean, you work with people like Chevron, Google, Chick-fil-A. Like, you're giving us what you give the companies we pour into every single day. So thank you so much. So how did you even get to a place, clearly customer love, for all these companies to love you? There's something that you built in your reputation. What gave you the confidence or the boost, or when did you know it was your calling to even reach out to companies like this and say, hey, you want me on your team. You want me as your business strategist. How did you even get to that place?
The companies couldn't find me until I found myself. Let me say why this is so important. One of the greatest problems with Black people in America is Black people don't love themselves. Black people don't love themselves to the degree that they need to love themselves. I fell in love with me again. I fell in love with the fact that my father was an immigrant from Jamaica, and he picked oranges in Mount Dora, Florida, and he migrated up to Perry, New York, and he picked apples, and he was illiterate, but he taught himself how to read by reading the Bible. Married my mother from Sanford, Florida, which is obviously famous because of Trayvon Martin. So I am a Jamaican. When I stopped trying to act as if I needed to have white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, and I began to love that I was Godiva chocolate fine, and I began to accept me. then all of a sudden I can show up in with the Googles, the IBMs, the Microsoft, and not feel as if I need to fit in, because conformity robs you of creativity. And when I begin to embrace my brilliance, I begin to understand that there is a king inside of me. And when I stop acting like a pauper and begin to embrace who I am as a king and love myself, I can walk into any place because I know who I am. And if they reject me and don't accept me, that's their problem, not mine, because they just missed a moment for me to take them to another dimension. So when you, and that's not arrogant, that's not overconfidence, that's just a knowing who you are. But it comes back to love. When
Yeah.
you love who you are, love is not what it says, it's what it does.
Yeah.
And the first thing is, when you love yourself, you give yourself away. Because when you don't love, you're trying to get, and you come from a place of scarcity instead of abundance. But when you love, you have more to give, because an open hand is always full.
Mm. Oh my God, that's so good. So what does that process look like, especially for men? Because there are a couple men that listen to the podcast. They don't want to admit they listen to it. But what does that look like? What does a self-love process look like?
Well, for me, uh, to take you into my business and put
Okay.
myself out there,
Okay.
everybody's seen the video. The video's now got 87 million views. That was released, Father's Day not too long ago. Talks about me going through a divorce after being married for 25 years, and what the process of self-love started with me as my daughter came into my home office one day, and I was busy. I had stuff going on. I was emotionally unavailable to her. And I went out of town, and it hit me that I missed a moment to connect with my daughter. So when I came back off the road, I said, Madison, I'm so sorry I didn't connect with you. And she said, Daddy, it's okay. I said, no, it's not okay. Because if I don't change my behavior, you're going to marry a joker just like me. And what I recognized, I was modeling something for her brother and her that really did not align with how I needed to be. So self-love started with me releasing the need to be right, but really becoming open to what needed to emerge and how I needed to show up. So yeah, that's the journey. That's the journey, is really forgiving yourself and being. Yeah, that's where it started.
Okay.
Hmm.
So the podcast is all about freedom, purpose,
Hmm.
peace, self-love. So we cover self-love. What does freedom mean to you?
Wow, freedom is really finding your voice. When you find your voice, you find your words. When you find your words, you find your people. But until you find your words, you cannot find your voice, and you will not find freedom. Thus, you will not find the people who can take you to another dimension, not another level. Because when you study string theory, there are 8 to 10 levels in one dimension. So sometimes you have people that have multi-dimensional gifts, but they're hanging with people that have leveled them out because they haven't found their words, they haven't found their freedom, they haven't found their voice, they haven't found who they are. So you really have to start with, what are the words that I'm using? Because when you upgrade your verbal software, language is the software of the mind. All of a sudden, you begin to move into a dimension that stretches you like never before and invites you to a new vista of freedom. Freedom in your mind, freedom in your thinking, freedom in your spirit. And you start to attract people into your space because they hear your voice and they hear your words. And words carry energy. And you can tell when a person knows what they know, or they're just phoning it in. They're just dialing it. But show up in that fresh way, you become literally unstoppable. And becoming unstoppable allows you to live from the inside out.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So many nuggets, so many nuggets. I hope you
Yeah.
all have
Yeah.
caught them all.
Yeah.
So we're going to do something called rapid soul questions.
Sure. 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 Yep. Go ahead.
So name one person you think is really funny.
Wow. So I really think Chris Rock is always very interesting to me. I think he's a person who constantly challenges you to just see things with a new, fresh perspective. So he's someone that I always kind of think that's very funny, that I always kind of talk about and look to. Sure.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
I love it. What is the last song you listened to?
Wow. Of course, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, it doesn't get much better, better than that. Yeah.
What dessert can't you live without?
Apple pie a la mode.
Oh, okay. That's a first. What trait do you like the most about yourself?
I'm kind,
Hmm.
very kind. Probably kind to a fault, but I'm very kind.
Hmm. What is one product that you must use every single day, no matter what it is?
My toothpaste, hello, and some good mouthwash. Hello, somebody.
Very important. Very important. If
Yeah,
you,
totally.
if you could go to dinner with anyone, who would it be? Alive or passed away?
Mother Teresa.
Mm.
I
Why is
would want to understand what caused her to raise billions of dollars to help the least, the last, and the lost. What is it that drove her to do that? And it was never about her, but it was always about the bigger difference that she could make in the world. So I think for me that would be it. Yeah.
I love it. One
hmm
book that you should believe everyone should read, even if it's one of your 10.
You know what? I think the book that everyone should put their hands on is the book. Wow, there's so many. Um, Humility is the New Smart. I
Mm,
would highly recommend that book. Humility is the New Smart.
I love it. I'm writing that down.
Okay. Yeah.
So what are you looking to do next? How can we connect with you? How can we support you? How can we support you as a community?
Yeah. People can follow me, obviously, social media. Simon T. Bailey is my name. And then my website, simontbailey.com.
Okay. I love it. We'll share the links also. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
of
Good to be
course.
with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Make
All
sure you
right.
all subscribe to the Soulkation Podcast. Share this episode with all of your friends. He dropped so many nuggets. And I just can't wait to see you all on the next episode of the Soulkation Podcast. Have a good one.